Exeggutor is notorious for being a great Pokemon in Generation 1 overused. It used to be considered the 4th best Pokemon and is still considered at least in the top 6 by pretty much everyone. Unfortunately, the later gens weren't very kind to it. First Psychic was nerfed by the addition of Dark and Steel in Generation 2, then U-Turn was added in Gen 4, which hits it for double super effective damage and is used by approximately 5 million different Pokemon. Then Explosion was nerfed in Gen 5, and Sleep Powder was nerfed to not work on Grass-type Pokemon in Gen 6. By this point, Exeggutor was having a pretty rough time, with it only avoiding being in PU due to it being too strong for the tier in Gen 6. Luckily, Gen 7 is when Game Freak finally gave Exeggutor something, its Alolan form. Alolan Exeggutor became a Grass Dragon type, had some minor stat changes, and got access to the perfect coverage move Flamethrower, which let it take down Steel types that would otherwise handle its dual stab. Unfortunately, this didn't save it from the lower tiers in Sun and Moon or its sequels. Trigger and Choice Spec sets were threatening enough to get it into the NU tier, where it was genuinely really good, but it didn't do a whole lot higher up in the tiers. In Sword and Shield it's not even that great in NU anymore and sits in PU's ban list. Luckily for Alolan Exeggutor, however, that's not where the story ends. Alolan Exeggutor's rise to fame in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee's OU tier isn't as crazy as Mega Blastoise, who I covered recently, but it's definitely got its own interesting story to be told. The most important thing about the Pokemon is the value of its Grass Dragon typing. There are very few Pokemon that resist Earthquake in Let's Go. Sure, Flying types are immune to the move, but many of the best Earthquake users also pack a strong Rock Slide to give those trouble. In fact, there are only 3 Pokemon in Let's Go that resist Earthquake without being weak to Rock Slide. One of them is Tangela, who sucks, and the other 2 are both Exeggutor. From there it's up to which Exeggutor is better, and the one that can hurt Melmetal and doesn't almost die to stab U-turns, that being Alolan Exeggutor, is the obvious better choice. Alolan Exeggutor saw usage right from the start thanks to its respectable bulk and great offensive coverage. In fact, I used it to win the first ever Let's Go tournament on Pokemon Showdown alongside Poliwrath. Now I think about it, Poliwrath should probably get its own video too. Back to Alolan Exeggutor though, it was mainly used for its ability to switch on Rhydon's Earthquake, outspeed, and retaliate with a Mega Drain for a one-hit KO. Keep in mind that in Let's Go, Mega Drain is basically just Giga Drain that has the same base power, PP, and effect. It could also switch on Melmetal's Earthquake and throw up a massive Flamethrower, which people weren't really ready for back then, and still kind of aren't. The hype died down after a while and people stopped using Alolan Exeggutor as much, especially when the new, most popular ground type, Nidoqueen, was easy enough to handle with various other Pokemon like Mew and Starmie. It was always considered a decent Pokemon, and its offensive potential was no joke, but it didn't see enough usage to become part of OU before Gen 8 arrived and Let's Go's tiers were frozen in place. As a result, it ended up in Let's Go underused, where it was one of the best Pokemon in the tier and able to take on top threats like Jolteon and Cantoni and Dugtrio. So what's happened since then to bring Alolan Exeggutor up to Let's Go OU? It's a combination of a few small things and one major discovery. Let's start off with the most direct significant change to Let's Go OU since then, which was Mega Gengar's ban. Mega Gengar being able to threaten a one-hit KO on Alolan Exeggutor is pretty unique among Mega Evolutions, and switching into Mega Gengar was never something people really enjoyed having to do, so it could make Exeggutor a little bit tough to utilize at times. It wasn't the worst problem ever, and didn't stop Alolan Exeggutor being viable, but having Mega Gengar removed from the tier was definitely a slight buff. The next thing Alolan Exeggutor enjoyed was Alolan and Dugtrio becoming the most popular ground type. Alolan Exeggutor can switch in on Alolan and Dugtrio very safely, while it would have to fit Ice Moves from the Nidos or Mega Horn from Rhydon. Being a safe Alolan and Dugtrio answer is great considering how common and threatening Alolan and Dugtrio is, so Alolan Exeggutor's usage was definitely brought up by this change in the meta. The last, and most important direct buff to Alolan Exeggutor's effectiveness was what I like to call the Dragon Tail revolution of late 2020. The move hadn't been seriously explored a whole lot before then, but in the search for interesting Mega Gyarados moveset options, it quickly came into the spotlight. Fortunately, it turns out that Alolan Exeggutor is also a massively threatening user of the move thanks to how well it forces switch against the likes of Melmetal and Alolan Dugtrio. It also has a very unique role versus Zapdos. Alolan Exeggutor quad resists Thunderbolt and is weak to U-turn, which heavily incentivizes Zapdos to use U-turn. If Alolan Exeggutor uses Dragon Tail on the same turn, it deals major damage to whatever switches in, Stealth Rock damage to whatever it draws in, and can potentially force an opponent into a tough spot, especially if it brings Zapdos right back into the same situation. Basically, when Alolan Exeggutor gets on the field, it usually manages to spread a lot of damage across the opposing team before it goes down, and that's in no small part thanks to Dragon Tail in combination with Stealth Rock. When Let's Go changed to viability-based tiering in July 2022, Alolan Exeggutor easily rose into the OU tier and has remained there since. If you want to see more Alolan Exeggutor in action, stay tuned for my next video. I'll be commentating and analysing a recent tournament set I had where I managed to use its Dragon Tail to great effect. It's going to be a different kind of video to the stuff I've made so far, but I hope you enjoy it anyway. And don't worry, this kind of video is going nowhere. Throwing in longer, less edited content just lets me make more videos, and also lets me go more in depth on specific stuff than I can in these short videos. With all that said, it would mean a lot if you consider giving this video a like and subscribing so you don't miss future ones. Also, let me know in the comments what you'd like to see from this channel, or just any other feedback you might have. There's plenty to cover in Let's Go OU still, But there's loads of other Let's Go metagames too, like Underused, Little Cup, Candy Little Cup, Ubers even, Doubles, and I can even talk about other wacky tiers I'm familiar with, like Generation 3 PU. Also, don't forget to join the Smogon Let's Go Discord. I spend a lot of time in there, so if you want to talk to me, check it out, links in the description. Thanks for watching, see ya!